Okay, very big welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It is an absolute pleasure and privilege for me to be hosting the call for Karen Mackay, who is one of the most experienced instructors in the PSYCH-K community. And so Karen is going to be coming out to Australia at the beginning of August to teach the very first Master Facilitator workshop. It's the very first new offering in the PSYCH-K workshops in the launch of the Health Wellbeing Program about 4 or 5 years ago, and we're just so excited to have her here. Karen first became an instructor in 2010. She studied with Rob Williams and Bruce Lipton. She immediately immersed herself in PSYCH-K and became an instructor and started offering workshops. She also did instructor training with Larry Valmore, and she's the head of the Master Facilitator workshop program for PSYCH-K now, which is a real privilege for us to have you here, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here with everybody. I'm so excited to get to meet you. Thanks for coming on and joining us today, because I think it's Sunday in Australia, right?
It's Sunday. It was 11 a.m. in Australia. It's the whole east coast of Australia. It's a couple of hours behind in Perth. And so the purpose of today's call was really because this is it's a new workshop and there's so much exciting stuff to talk about in it. We thought it would be best to hear about it from Karen, who's teaching the program, and just really as a way to introduce it to everyone so we can all get excited about what we're going to learn in August. And so, Karen, firstly, would you like to maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with PSYCH-K?
Sure. So let's see, I became an instructor in 2010, in March 2010, but I first studied PSYCH-K in 2009, and I went to a PSYCH-K workshop with Rob Williams and Bruce Lipton, and it was a 4-day program. And it was a very exciting time because I had been pursuing hypnotherapy and had been doing hypnotherapy work with people, but I really was frustrated because sometimes it worked really well and sometimes it didn't, and I really didn't know how to get in the door, with some of these people that I was working with and help them have the changes that they were seeking. So I was initially exploring PSYCH-K because of that reason. But I quickly fell in love with PSYCH-K after that first workshop because it was so darn easy to help people. And hypnotherapy, if anybody's ever engaged in that, it can be very long and takes a while for people to see the changes. And sometimes they never have any proof that the changes have actually been adopted by the subconscious unless their life changes. Of course, we know with PSYCH-K, because you all have had the basic workshop, that when we have a moment with the PSYCH-K balance, we start noticing the strongs and weak responses immediately. So we get a weak response to the statement that tests weak, and then we do the balance, and then all of a sudden, magically, it tests strong at the end of that. And I had been using muscle testing for years, but I was using muscle testing for nutritional things. And my son had been very, very sick when he's now 27, and when he was 11 months old, he was very, very sick. And I had been to all kinds of doctors and trying to understand about how to help him get well, because he'd been sick since he was 2 weeks of age. So I had been with doctors on and off. Every 2 weeks he was on antibiotics, then he would be off of them for antibiotics, etc. Off for 2 weeks, back on, back off, back on, back off. By 11 months I was worn out, and so was he, and his little body was just a mess. And so a woman had told me about this nutritionist that is in Colorado Springs, and I wasn't very excited about seeing her because I really didn't understand how she could possibly help him, but I went anyway. And so she was able to help me understand a little bit about muscle testing at that point, and I was blown away because she said, if you'll do everything I tell you to do, in 2 weeks your son will be much, much improved. And in 2 weeks, she was darn right. And everything had been done with muscle testing. So she had told me what foods to not eat to help him get well. She had tested him for all kinds of other things that she felt he needed. And I followed her plan perfectly, and my son immediately was improving. So I was really amazed about muscle testing, and it was very hard for me to believe that anything could be so helpful, yet there was the proof right before me. So fast. Oh, there we go. Okay. So after he had gotten so much better, I thought, well, okay, I want to do this for myself too. So anyway, I've been using muscle testing then for quite some time, because he's now 27 years old. And so let's see, 10 years ago is when we got started. So do the math. Anyway, I've been using muscle testing a long time, and 17 years basically at that point. So I didn't have to be convinced that muscle testing was real, and I knew that it was doing what it was supposed to do, and I loved PSYCH-K because it was so darn fast. And then, of course, I started having changes take place in my own life, and literally across the board, I used it in every area of my life to help me financially, to help me with my spirituality, to help me with beliefs about grief and loss, to help me with public speaking, just everything, health benefits, all those kinds of things. And there was so much that I wanted to accomplish that I really started to say goodbye to hypnotherapy pretty darn quick. And I started helping other people with PSYCH-K instead of hypnotherapy because it was so much easier and so much faster, and the proof was in the physiological experience of the muscle testing. So I guess in a short nutshell, that's kind of about it. Working with Bruce and Rob was fantastic, and it was very amazing. And then I started mentoring with other instructors and learning more about variations. And I did the basic workshop, I think it was like 7 times. I did the advanced about 4 or 5 times. I helped write the original Pro program, and I think that's actually one of the reasons that Rob was interested in having me help when we initially were just going to rewrite the Pro materials. But then in January of this year, everything shifted. After I'd already worked 2 years on the program, Rob says, I think we need to take this in an entirely different direction. And so we did. And now we have what's called the Master Facilitation Workshop, which is even better, I think, than what we were trying to do before. So a little bit there, did the Divine Integration Retreat, health and well-being several times. It's just, I love PSYCH-K. I'm covered in it.
Wow. I never get sick of hearing people's PSYCH-K stories because it always re-inspires me. In the small stories, they're often the best as well, but you've just made such a huge impact on so many people's lives, Karen, all over the world. It's such an amazing... so great to have you on the call with us today.
Well, really. Thanks, Ian.
You're such an inspirational person and such a force within the PSYCH-K community. It's just real inspiration to know you as well. So,
well,
Karen,
thank you.
So the Master Facilitator Workshop is coming up in August on the 24th. Sorry, not the 24th. The 10th, 11th, and the 12th.
Yeah.
Sydney. This will be the first time that it's being taught in Australia. And you mentioned that it was a kind of an evolution of the Pro workshop, which was the workshop, one of the workshops that we used to do. And so maybe we could start with what kind of person should be interested in coming along to the Pro. Why would somebody be interested in coming along to the Master Facilitator Workshop?
Sure. Well, the Master Facilitation Workshop is really about helping anybody that has studied the basic workshop increase their skills using the materials, using the processes, and to help them develop more ease using the processes, to have more effective sessions with themselves or with other people, and to also really enhance their confidence. So there's 3 primary benefits there that, there's many, many more, of course, but those are the 3 primary things that I've seen happen already, is the effectiveness, ease, and confidence have really, really increased by attending the program.
Yep. Fantastic. And and what kind of things could we expect in the actual workshop? Is it what does the actual program consist of?
Well, your email was very succinct and very accurate. One of the things that we're going to be focusing in on is helping people learn how to better structure language as far as working with the concept of I and we, because most of us are very good at saying, I want you to raise your arm, I want you to think of something you like, all those kinds of things. So we have the partner working for us, the facilitator, which is not really the PSYCH-K way. So we're going to help bring more emphasis to working with what we call mutual language or inclusive language, where it really makes everything about the partner. So we'll be talking about that, and then that fair game for the rest of the weekend, be forewarned, we'll be gently nudging you and teasing you along the way about, hey, remember your mutual language. So the we is very important, because everything we do in PSYCH-K is about our partner and having that team effect. So that's one of the big things. Of course, the next big thing is about surrogation. So never, ever, ever has surrogation been considered to be offered outside of the advanced workshop. However, for us to be able to be better communicators and better facilitators, Rob really realized that we absolutely need to have this in the hands of anybody that wants to take the Master Facilitation Workshop, because so many people now are communicating over the phone, but more importantly over the internet. And for us to be able to have really wonderful sessions with people, we need to be able to have surrogation in our toolkit so that we can help them get to the end results that they want. So surrogation is offered in this Master Facilitation Workshop, and I think you're going to really love having that new tool because it expands your ability to work worldwide, and that is so much fun. So we've got that, and then we're going to be working with the messages protocol. So this is about helping people understand spiritual messages from different kinds of situations or conditions that they're experiencing in their life. And from this perspective, oftentimes people have been trying to figure out, what is going on with me? Why do I have this thing that keeps happening? Whether it's they keep tripping over the same crack in the sidewalk, when they go for a walk, or maybe they have some kind of something that's happening physically that they're frustrated about or whatever, and they want to get to the bottom of that. So we can use the messages protocol oftentimes to help figure things out. And this, I can't say anything other than magical, because to me it's one of my favorite processes, and magic oftentimes happens with it. So we'll be working with that and surrogation. And then with hopefully we'll have enough time, we're going to also be working on polishing up working with stressful situations, because sometimes people still have a little confusion about stressful situations and how to use the process well. And so for the first time, we actually have it all on one piece of paper so that it's beautifully presented and you can easily follow the instructions to do that process very well. And let's see, so those are the three primary extra goodies that we're going to be bringing into the workshop on day one. And then on day two, we're going to be moving into working with sessions. Now, the primary focus and thrust of this workshop is not a bunch of new processes. It's about using the processes you already learned in the basic workshop and becoming highly proficient using them. And we're going to be working with trios, so 3 people will be having a face-to-face session. And we have 3 different roles that will be played. We'll have the observer, we're going to have a facilitator, and we'll have the partner. And we'll have 3 hours of time where you'll rotate and be in every one of those seats. And these are going to be real live sessions, folks, and the idea is to use the processes that we've already been educated on. So the messages protocol, working with the stressful situation protocol, using surrogation, not yet with the face-to-face sessions, but those will come later. And then everything that you've learned about new direction balance and resolution balance and all those things. So it's all about taking what you already know and working in the only place that this has ever been available to enhance and deepen your experience as a facilitator. So each of those seats is real important because, of course, as the facilitator, you're going to be running the show for that session time with your partner. When you're the partner, you're going to be getting the benefit of the balance, but you're also going to be observing, wow, how did the facilitator handle my situation? Did the facilitator do what I thought should be done? And you'll also be giving feedback to the facilitator at the end of the session. And then you'll rotate also to the observer seat. So in the observer seat, this is a very lovely situation to be in because you're going to get to take amazing notes about what is going on with the facilitator. What did the facilitator do well, and what were some things that the facilitator could have improved upon? And then, of course, you're going to be doing your own inward reflection on how you would have handled it differently, because all of us have these amazing brains and wonderful insights that we have. So when you rotate next time into the facilitator role, you'll have a whole new perspective on how to do this. So the first session that we do, which is going to be on day 2, will be all about the face-to-face sessions. Then in the afternoon, we're going to be getting into working with the video sessions. And here we're going to pull surrogation in, and you'll be using surrogation and muscle testing on behalf of your partner. So you'll get to see, does your partner follow your directions? Are they understanding the concepts? Are they understanding the language? And of course, the partner now needs to pretend like they really don't know anything about Psych-K. So the idea is to really act as though you don't know anything about Psych-K. It's a first-time session is what we're shooting for. So the facilitator really has to give good directions. They have to follow their own thoughts about how do I proceed, how do I share information with the partner so that the partner really has a good experience. So there's a lot of learning that goes on at multiple levels when you're doing a video session. And the observer is going to be watching to see if the partner is able to follow the directions of the facilitator, and also taking notes about that again too. Then our third session, which will probably happen on Sunday, is going to be a phone session, because oftentimes people want to have phone sessions. Maybe the video connection doesn't work where they live, or perhaps, phone is just more convenient for them for whatever reason. And so now you have to be able to describe everything to your partner, and you're going to be back to back with your partner, so you can't see what they're doing. And then the observer's role becomes even more important, because the observer has to really watch and make sure that the partner is truly understanding and following the directions that you give as the facilitator. So it's rich. All I can tell you is it's highly, highly rich in content as far as very deep learning. And it sounds like, well, no big deal to be the facilitator, but actually it's a really big deal to be in that facilitator seat. And the partner role is very rich too, because you're going to be getting the benefit of the balances that you want to get to, and learning to find out, could you have done this differently, or what would you have suggested if you had been a facilitator? So I'm hoping that you guys can see that this is a very rich learning environment where the primary focus is practice, 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 so that you can really get, how do I do sessions with people? Because that's what Psych-K is really all about, is helping ourselves and helping other people. Whether you're doing this in a professional capacity or you're helping friends or family members, either way, being able to do great facilitation allows you to feel comfortable and confident and more relaxed with those sessions. So that's what this is all about. And Rob and I have looked at it, about 11 hours of facilitation time and observer and partner time. So altogether, 11 hours in all of those seats is what you're going to be experiencing, and perhaps even more than that. So I hope that is helpful. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And you brought up a beautiful point, which was that this is going to obviously help with our sessions helping others, but it's going to be just as powerful with helping ourselves as well, because when we're doing a session, we're doing it with ourselves, right? And so the ability to be able to go in and look for messages, for example, and messages, which you said we're doing on day one, is such a huge area. Deal with stress, not only with others, but with ourselves as well. So just with ourselves, it's going to be just incredible. I think that this is something that I think, if you guys are interested in really kind of expanding your consciousness through Psych-K, this is something not to be missed. This is like all of the Psych-K workshops. I think everyone gets to the end of them just has their head shaking, going, that was incredible. How could they fit any more into it? I think this is really going to be giving us that same experience by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Well, Ian, one of the things that we've learned over the years is that, people come to the basic workshop and we learn how to do the processes in the basic workshop, and we have a practice session, learning what to do and how to do it. But then we're on to the next topic, and we've learned the new direction balance, and then we learn the resolution balance, and then there's all these things that we need to do, and sometimes there isn't as much practice time as we really would have liked, and so we get home, and then we think, oh my gosh, how do I do this? We're a little bit stunned, because one of the things we also notice is during the basic workshop, people are having the benefit of the balances, and they may or may not be able to be as attentive as they would like to be, because they're actually in the experience of their own change. So the system is changing and updating, and they're acquiring all this new information. And so as that happens, it's kind of like a double whammy. People feel like they've taken in a lot. And then they get home, and it's a little bit, overwhelming sometimes to do it. Yeah. And so it's all wonderful, but we need extra practice time. And so that's why this program is really going to be so helpful to people, is that you're going to be learning on multiple levels again and having the benefit of the balances, but the amount of time that you'll be practicing and reviewing it and observing it is designed to really deepen your comfort level with everything that you've already got in your toolkit, plus a few new things too. And of course, expand your abilities to work with people all around the world. So it's very, very rich. When we did it in Cape Town, South Africa, the ratings were incredible. And we had people that, some of the people had rated themselves in effectiveness and ease and confidence like around a 2 or a 3. All they had done was the basic workshop. And then by the end of this workshop with the master facilitation, they were rating themselves at 8s and 9s, and some people even at 10. So if that helps give you an understanding of what this workshop can actually do, I think it will help you make the decision to go ahead and invest in yourselves. You've already invested in yourself to do the basic workshop. This master facilitation workshop will increase your confidence levels and skills tremendously. Yeah. So go ahead, Ian.
It sounds like it will really give us some real freedom with the processes, as opposed to being, really caught in just because we'll be going through so much practice, rather than just being caught in instructions. It's going to really free us up to be a lot more creative almost as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And thanks for bringing that up, Ian, because one of the things that Messages requires is for us to think outside of the box. That particular protocol really stretches our thinking on what to do and how to do it, because we've got structure, but within the structure there is so much freedom, and there's room for insights, and there's room for using reference books and oracle cards and objects that are in the room and all kinds of things that show up. And so you're going to have a structure, but you're going to have to learn how to think bigger than what you've learned in the basic workshop. So although Messages sounds like, it sounds like an interesting program, it's mind-boggling. It's actually mind-boggling.
I agree. And the more creative we can be with PSYCH-K, the more change we can affect as well. And if we're able to use the surrogation, this beautiful ritual that we have, then to help others make changes that aren't present. I mean, the ability for us, and not only professionally, but just from a family perspective, starting with the family unit, being able to with, young children that aren't old enough to, or babies that aren't old enough to be able to do the balance processes, or family members that may be not willing or open to PSYCH-K, we're able to just be able to affect such beautiful change, and having that extra level of creativity and freedom to be able to work with the subconscious really, and that I guess comes back also to the name of the workshop, the Master Facilitator. It's giving us some mastery over not only our facilitation, but the subconscious.
I would agree with you.
Oh, so good. So good. I'm looking forward to it. And so, is there anything else that you might think that would be good for people to know? Any other little tidbits?
Well, let's see.
So you've done it. So also to let you guys know, this is going to be the first time the very first time this workshop has ever been instructed in Australia. And so where there's only going to be one first time, and we have an opportunity to be part of that. And that's
You're going to come and make history. Yeah, come and make history with us.
Absolutely. I mean, I see, attend 20, this workshop will still be there, and we'll be able to say that we were at the very first one with Karen.
That's right.
That's really exciting, and even on a worldwide basis, I think there's you've done one in Cape Town.
Yep, one in Cape Town. I'll be doing one in Amsterdam this weekend coming up, this next weekend on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then we'll be getting together for our Instructor Conference in Taos, New Mexico. And then I'll be headed your way pretty much after that. We're going to be working with having one more Master Facilitation workshop in Denver, Colorado before I come to Australia. So we'll get to have a couple more runs at it here before I show up, but we're just loving what the results are. And people are so excited about how much better they feel using the processes and their confidence level, because that's always been one of my biggest concerns, is that people feel like they can take this home and actually be effective with it. We need that. Yes. That's one of the reasons I repeated the basic workshop so many times, was just I wanted to get good at it. I wanted to be able to really do it well.
Yeah, so and on that note, Karen, I mean, I always encourage people who, like, say, Katie, to go and repeat the basic workshop. And I know Rosie and Liz and I make it very easy for people to do that here, but that is a great thing to do as well. And would definitely recommend that as well. Just, you noted that we were going to be at the Instructor Conference was coming up very soon, and I'm hoping to be there. I'm not 100% sure. This April we have Bruce Lipton as our guest there this year again.
Yeah, that'll be great to see him.
Just letting you guys know, I mean, Bruce is very involved in the PSYCH-K community. He was there last year, wasn't he? Yeah. Last year.
He was there last year, yes. It was wonderful to see him and to spend more time with his beautiful bride, Sally. They've been together for I forget how many years, like 20 years or something like that, but they finally got married last year.
Right, yeah. And it's good for people to know Bruce is very close to the PSYCH-K world. And
very close.
And as I understand, is becoming, more and more his message has really been, with what's going on in the world, it's no holds barred now. He tells every single lecture he has, he gets up and talks to people about PSYCH-K, and every chance he gets, he's a
tremendous supporter. Yes.
Duccio, Bocati, who's the head of our health and wellbeing program, and is also the director of PSYCH-K now, says that, and we all agree with him, that Bruce deserves a Nobel Prize for all the work that he does, helping people understand this power of our beliefs and the ability for us to now be able to turn it on. And this is such an awesome opportunity, Karen, for us all to get in and do that at such a high level in August with you guys. Is there any questions? We might.
Let's do questions. I'd love to hear some questions.
I'm just going to go to the.
Wow, Ian, we have 17 people on with us.
Yeah.
Or 15. Yeah. 15 additional. Wow. Hi, everybody.
Okay. Have you guys got any questions? I can't see here any at the moment. Ian, surrogation with groups. Will we be learning how to do surrogation with groups, Karen?
A little bit more clarification on that question, perhaps.
So I'll try and clarify it for Sarah. I think she's asking, with the surrogation ritual that we do to be able to affect change, are we able to work with groups of people or just individuals?
Oh, groups of people. Okay. All right, so here's the deal. Yes, you can work with groups, and the idea is that everybody has the right to opt in or out surrogating a group. So let's say you want to do your nuclear family. Let's say there's 5 people in your nuclear family. And you say, okay, and so that would be 4 other than yourself. And you say, well, let me go in and surrogate for my nuclear family. And perhaps not everybody joins in. you won't know that because that all happens at the high self level. So we won't actually know who opts in and who opts out. It isn't like this conference call thing where we can see, the people's cameras are on or off. We only know that we get permission to help that particular group, but we don't know if everybody is opting in. So that's one way of looking at it. And then there's the other thing of we may not get approval for the particular group that we're asking for because we might have an agenda that we want to push. so we might not get approval to push that agenda. So the thing is, it has to be safe and appropriate and beneficial for everybody that we are suggesting this experience would be for. So we'll go over all those details in the workshop. Yeah, because we want to make sure you understand that there are some variations that show up, and just because you surrogate a group doesn't mean you're going to get everything you think you're going to get. So we go over those points. Yeah. Okay.
Just one last question regarding the surrogation. Does it mean that it's still better to surrogate individually in order to serve highest good, re-surrogate, as opposed to surrogating group?
Okay, one more time. Run that by again.
Hang on, is it better to surrogate individually to serve highest good for somebody or a group? Probably a little involved question for now. But.
Okay, now I better understand the question. Okay, so I think that really would be helpful if you have the opportunity to do that. For instance, if we go back to the nuclear family, if there are certain things that you would like to create balances for the benefit of your mother or your father, then you would find out if they are willing to balance for those kinds of things or not. So that would be an option, because if you can't get surrogation set up for those particular goals, then you'd find out right then and there it's a no-go. If you had it as the big group, you wouldn't know who opted in and who opted out, as we already said.
Yeah.
So yes, I think individual surrogation is very helpful. Also, you're going to have a much different experience if you go with individuals than you would with groups. So some people really have a sense of surrogation when they're in it. They actually notice or feel things about their experience when they're in surrogation, and some people don't. Like, I'm one of those. I don't really pick up on a lot of feelings or energetic experience of another person. I surprise myself actually when I do, because it's so unusual for me to actually have that kind of connection.
Yep.
But I do have that happen on occasion.
Right, great answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question was, where are we? I have done the basic workshop and was planning to do the advanced late August. How is the master facilitator training different to the advanced?
Great question. Totally different. Totally different. So in the Master Facilitation workshop, as we said, you're going to get all of those experiences, and you're going to enhance your skill level and your understanding of how to use the processes and all that good stuff. When you go to the advanced workshop, then you're going to be learning new processes. So in the advanced workshop, you're going to be learning about 6 or 7, 8 different processes there. It depends on how you count them. We've got the Rapport Balance, which has 2 balances in one. There's the verbal rapport and the nonverbal rapport. Then we've got belief points and energy focusing that you're going to be learning, so you'll understand how to work with energy and specific points on the body that have kind of like pools of energy and how to work with those. Then you're also going to learn surrogation in that workshop as well. And then from there, you're going to learn the core belief balance, which is really what I call the granddaddy balance of them all, because the core belief balance is what started PSYCH-K. It's more complex and very rigorous, lots of fun, but it is more complicated than anything else we've got in the PSYCH-K world. And then you'll be learning the relationship balance, and you can do that with all different kinds of relationships to the planet, your relationship to your eyes or your liver or your nose, all kinds of different things. And let's see what else. Oh, and then the life bonding balance. And then I'm not sure, Ian, what you call it, but I call it the surprise balance, which comes at the very tail end of the workshop. And that surprise is a surprise. So can't tell you much, except it's amazing.
Is the master, I know how you'll answer this, but is the master facilitator training a prerequisite for becoming an instructor?
Well, yes, it is. Yeah, there would really be 3 primary classes or workshops that you would have to do to become an instructor. And while there are 3, I would suggest you participate and attend all of them at least once and multiple times if you can. The basic, the advanced, and the master facilitation workshop are all required before you could ever become an instructor. And then the other thing too is those 3 are also required if you would like to become a preferred affiliate for the PSYCH-K website. And I know many of you probably are interested in that. So definitely you want to get this under your belt for that. So then we also have the Divine Integration Retreat, and we have the Health and Wellbeing Program. And highly recommend you attend both of those too, because they're just so much more expansive. Like the Health and Wellbeing Program is another leap beyond the Master Facilitation Workshop. So it's just everything that we have in PSYCH-K just builds and builds and builds, and it builds in different ways. We don't really repeat anything, with the exception of a couple of things that show up in the Health and Wellbeing Program are also in the Master Facilitation Workshop. And if you have not had the Master Facilitation Workshop and you go to the Health and Wellbeing Program, there is so much information in the Health and Wellbeing Program, you will be overwhelmed, because it's 4 days of very intense learning. So I look at the Master Facilitation Workshop as a nice ramp up to the Health and Wellbeing Program as well. So it'll help make you feel that you get more money or more value for your money when you attend the Health and Wellbeing Program.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, yeah,
fantastic.
And I can say that with...
I might just make a point of the preferred affiliate listing that you mentioned. Just to make that very clear, if you're not already aware, on PSYCH-K.com, on our mothership website, PSYCH-K.com, which is the international website where all of the workshops are listed, and it's our primary website. And often the first port of call for people looking at PSYCH-K, there is a section called Preferred Affiliate. Now, to become a preferred affiliate, which means you have your name and you have your email address, phone number, listed on there, because we have often people who are facilitators, they're like, how do we get on there? As Karen mentioned, there's 3 key workshops you need to attend for that. Basic workshop, the Master Facilitator workshop, and the Advanced Integration workshop. So if you have done those 3 workshops, Basic, Advanced Integration, and Master Facilitator, and I know we've got a lot of people wanting to get there and they've been really waiting for this workshop just for this, that means you're going to be able to get a listing. And as you know, even with the kind of traffic that's going through PSYCH-K.com at the moment, people that are preferred affiliate, you know, getting called up by people for sessions, and so it's becoming an active stream of income for them in a professional sense. It's giving them people to practice with and in a professional way. And but as the thought form with PSYCH-K expands over the coming years, that is going to become a much, much busier website than it is at the moment. And so to be listed there is going to be a really great thing for you if you're wanting to facilitate PSYCH-K. An important part of being a PSYCH-K facilitator, it's kind of going to be a part of your credibility. It will be important for you to say that you are a preferred affiliate. So.
Exactly. And actually, too, Ian, another thought about that is many people want to build their own website when they become a facilitator. And so having this authority website backing you up is of great value. So it's always very important to put a backlink to your PSYCH-K, to the PSYCH-K.com, your page on that, because that gives you more authority when you're speaking. So Google and all the search engines love those kind of things, so it really helps your website rank better. Yeah,
but definitely good for your credibility if you're wanting to facilitate professionally.
And,
and I know I was speaking to somebody in Melbourne a month ago. They're saying, you know, they're getting a couple of sessions a week via PSYCH-K.com. I'm not saying that will happen for everybody, but it's certainly a good place to be. Have your name and contact details as a facilitator. Okay.
Right.
Let me just double check. See if there's any more. Okay. The challenges I faced when working with some individuals was the questioning components, where it took a while to get the belief systems that work. So confirming that Master's Facilitator workshop will help you hone and speed up this process.
Yes. Yes, it will, because you have to think. That's one of those multiple levels that are of learning that are going on, is thinking about what kind of questions are you going to be asking your partner so that you can better help them formulate goal statements. So very important piece there is learning how to listen very carefully to the partner across from you, and then ask more questions for better information so that you can get even better goal statements formulated and move them quickly into actually doing balances. One of the things that we're going to be working with is basically a 5-minute sharing, where you'll give your partner 5 minutes and say, okay, I'm just going to jot down some notes as you share over the next 5 minutes about anything that's a concern to you. And I'm just going to listen, and then we'll recap those notes here in just a few moments. So go ahead and just share what's going on. What is it that you'd like some help with? And as they start sharing, they're going to say things like, well, let's see, well, I think my boss is a real jerk, and I don't know what to do about that. And my spouse is difficult all the time as well, and et cetera, et cetera. So what they do is they spill out their limiting beliefs right in front of you. And so you start writing those things down. We're going to show you a way of capturing those ideas and then saying, okay, we've got 5 great ideas here. You mentioned this one, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Which of these 5 are the most important for you today? And we're going to select one item, and we're going to help them hone that into an incredible goal statement so they can have a great balance. So you're going to learn how to shortcut the process, because I know one of my biggest problems when I first started facilitating was I had diarrhea of the mouth. And all I could do is just keep going on and on about everything. And then my partner got bored, and I lost them, because I was so excited about PSYCH-K, but I didn't know how to engage them better. So we're going to help you learn how to do more engagement as well. Right. Well, I know one thing I forgot to tell you, Ian, and everybody else, is that we're going to be getting a manual sent by email. This is a first in PSYCH-K. So you're going to be getting a manual to review before you ever even show up for the workshop. And you'll be able to go through all of that information so that you can formulate other questions that you'd like to get more questions to. You're also going to be able to develop what we're calling a core connection statement at home. And you're going to come to the workshop and introduce yourself with that core connection statement and float your boat, so to speak, in front of everybody else, and notice how it feels for you. Another thing that will happen after the workshop, usually probably no sooner than 2 to 3 weeks, will be a follow-up email with additional information that will be sent to you. And some of this will be more on the business end of things about how to do more businessy kinds of things, some website questions and things like that. And then we will have a follow-up Zoom call or conference call very much like this, where we'll spend at least a couple of hours going over things that you want additional information and insight about. So just because we end the workshop on August the 12th and you go home and I go home, doesn't mean that's the end of the learning. We're going to be doing more learning together, and we're going to have at least one follow-up call, perhaps 2, based on whatever you guys decide you want. And then we'll continue our relationship to help you grow and do as much as you can possibly do with this material. So let me know, we'll set that whole call up before I leave and before you leave the workshop on the 12th of August.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time today, Karen.
You're welcome.
Really a pleasure to hang out with you and everyone who's come along to the call. So many people have come along and been part of the call today. So
yes, it was wonderful.
Where are we?
Well, I hope I get to meet all of you. I'm looking forward to it. And, do send me an email if you have questions. Ian can answer most of your questions too, but if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. And I'm here to assist.
I'll send out an email to everyone for the next couple of days with your contact details on it as well if they do need to contact you. I'm going to unmute the lines now for everyone so we can all say goodbye.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up the call. Thank you so much for your time, Karen.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in.
Okay, everyone, you can
hope this was
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I just came in late, but thank you.
No problem. We're happy to have you.